Jason, I've got a little bit of really dark, really delicious Tormore in my glass, and I'm hoping that you as well have some dark and delicious Tormore in your glass.
Yeah, not so much the really dark once you make a pour of it. Like it's got good color to it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think the lighting in my room is just a little bit different than yours because it's coming through a bit. Oh, I also poured more. I poured more Tormore.
There you go. There you go.
So this is our latest Tormore. It's a 10-year-old. It was 6 years in bourbon, and the paperwork as well as our label, for the cask says 4 years in first fill American Oak hogshead. But I mean, when you taste this, it's quite clear there's quite a bit of Oloroso Sherry influence on this. However, the paperwork doesn't mention sherry or the type of sherry. But we're going to talk about the nose and the flavor profile as if this were a sherry cask, because to our palate, it's quite clear that it's a sherry influence.
Yeah, definitely getting, as you go through the experience, the dark fruits, the dark chocolates, the richness to it all. Yeah, and as you're saying, here we have our Tormore. This is our first ever Tormore for US e-commerce. When we were all just together in Edinburgh, very nearly said Glasgow by default, we launched our first retail, and that was our global retail line.
Yep.
Our first retail Tormore, and that was incredibly well received. We were able to sell that at the table before it was even hitting shops, and consumers were very excited about it. So very pleased with Jesse's Tormore for the global retail markets, and really pleased with our first e-commerce Tormore for the US.
Yeah, and this will be going live on Thursday, March 27th at noon Eastern. And it's going to be, what is it, just $100 a bottle,
That's it. Yeah,
right?
great price. 10 years old, as you're saying, a bit of sherry influence there. Terrific cask strength. You just had that up there in the title of this cask. Like it's checking so many boxes.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think this is the type of cask the nation is always looking for.
All right, let's go over some of these notes because I just it's dank, right? It's heavy on the nose.
Yeah, first of all, for viewers, we went with burnished copper on the
Yeah.
color there, which is always a go-to. Yeah. Black bananas, raisins, brown sugar. Pretty
Right.
pretty classic opening there.
Yeah, a bit nutty, right? Which right makes me think of Olorosa, the sort of like toasted pecans or walnuts, maybe even like pickled walnuts going on there.
Yeah, one of the things that came out of pouring at the Independent Bottlers Festival in Edinburgh was speaking to the number of independent bottler fans and making clear to them, A, we're mouthfeel guys, right? And
Yep.
gals, Jess. Texture, right? Rich, unctuous. That's a big thing for us. But then also distillery spirit should still come through the
Yeah.
cask
Yeah.
maturation, the cask
Yeah.
finishing. And the number of people who were at the table saying, yeah, I see that. I see the spirit represented. So both
Yeah.
in the Tormore that we were pouring on that day and the Tormore that we're tasting right now, the
Yeah.
Tormore spirit is present. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's especially, and I'm going to make a quick connection here, as you're likely about to taste this. But
You're exactly correct, sir.
with this being a Tormore, I think of our good friend Ollie Chilton, who is the taste buds behind Tormore. Which is people are going to be seeing on store shelves sometime next year, and in their own line of independent bottlings, Single Malts of Scotland, and he is very much a spirit character guy. He really
Yeah.
likes the spirit
Yeah.
character of distilleries. And when we're thinking about releasing Tormore, it's important to us that whatever we do, especially when it comes to Tormore and in knowing Ollie, is that we want to honor that spirit character. So I really like what you said there.
Yeah, speaking of that spirit character, at taste, there's the peppery warmth that you expect from Tormore. One of those distilleries, no official bottlings out there. You are just alluding to the fact
Mm,
that under new ownership, there will be standard Tormore offerings coming
mhm.
down the line. But in this moment,
Oh,
this is how you access the Tormore distillery, is through casks from independent bottlers.
oh my gosh, it's got that German brown bread, like the brown bread in a can with raisins. It's like the chocolate ganache on a cake.
Yep. Those nuts, the nuttiness, the toasted nuts you were talking about
Mm,
from the nose continue on through the palate as well. Yeah, that really stands out.
mm,
I also want to, give the viewers, give the nation a little peek behind the curtain, as we like to do as well. You're mentioning our friendship with Ollie Chilton there.
mhm.
In making our selections of Tormore for Single Cask Nation, we wanted to make Ollie proud. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't want to have any opportunity to disappoint Ollie with what they're trying to achieve at Tormore and what we're trying to achieve with our Tormore selection. And so we really put our
Oh,
Tormores through the ringers, just like we do with every cask. But
mhm.
we still had that idea in the back of our head. Does this work? Does this make Ollie happy? Does this represent the distillery he
Yeah.
sees day in and day out? And we were very, very pleased with the selection we made on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Mm.
Um,
Anything else
man,
there? Maybe a little bit of stewed prunes or a little warm berry kind of quality, whether it's
right,
jammy, jelly, compotty.
so as you were saying that, I was just thinking this, like, warm berry, like a compote, like, it was just so, like, warm and, like, when the berries start to disintegrate a little bit, right, in that compote, maybe even almost like a bramble going on, right?
Yeah. It's also one of those ones that the fruit layers, the sweetness layers as you take subsequent sips of it.
Mhm, mhm.
And that pepperiness from the Tormore just keeps framing it. So it never becomes too sweet, never
Yeah.
becomes too rich.
No.
The pepper keeps it honest.
Mhm.
That's what I
Yeah.
like about the Tormore spirit. You and I have, you know, privately purchased bottles of independently bottled Tormore
Oh, yeah.
over the years as well.
Yeah. No, it's a top distillery for me. It's been nice to taste their distillate over the decades, like Lafroig. You could taste the differences from decade to decade, and it's always been wonderful to explore. This one's from the 20 teens, and this really falls within that distillery style, just with that nice addition of the sherry cask maturation, just lending beautiful characteristics to the overall experience.
Yeah.
Really lovely.
Get a little bit of licorice on the
Oh,
finish
yeah.
here.
Yep.
Yeah. Little
Yeah.
licorice, little herbaceous.
Yeah, it's
Still,
slight salted, right?
mm, still,
Mm,
still with that bit of pepper happening as well.
mm.
From the label on this one, a rich and unctuous Tormore with layer upon layer of dark fruit, dark chocolate, and dark molasses. Did we say the word dark? Note the brightness delivered by ginger snaps and warm berry compote aromas and flavors. Peppery warmth connects to the classic distillery style. That is a good Tormore.
Right.
$100. I'll also say this. See, once we're outpouring this for people, I think people are going to be surprised that that's 10. Not
Right.
that I think it's radically older than that, but 12 would make sense. 13 would make sense. Maybe as high as
Mhm.
14. But for 10, that's really come along in its years. That really
Yeah.
handles itself well.
Yeah. I just, I think the liquid and the wood, everything is so well integrated. There's a liveliness to it, but at the same time, it knows what it's doing. It knows what it is. It's coming to its own. So
Yeah.
spot on. Cheers to Tormore on the liquid. Like you had said, 10 years old, $10 per year, $100 a bottle. Goes live March 27th on the Single Cask Nation website. This is a US only bottling. March 27th at 12 noon Eastern, and it will go live with their 9-year-old Ardnamerkin, which there is another tasting video that's highlighting those notes. So venture off into the YouTube lands and look for that tasting video. And I guess we'll see you on that video as well.
Cheers.
Cheers.